share, now you will know how to make your own calendar. So,
because I need extra time Erev Shabbos.
Okay, very good, yeah. Good. Now, what we'll do is we're going to play a role play where we are Hillel the second. Hillel the second was tasked by, maybe his name was Rabbi Gamliel, or was in the same had this name Rabbi Gamliel. It's not sure if it was a real name, or you see a lot of times Rabbi Gamliel as an OC of the Sanhedrin. The last Sanhedrin of the Jewish nation asked Hillel the second, we need the calendar. So far we're doing all this up here. And it's coming to the end in Yerushalayim. People are leaving. There is no more. You can't ask somebody to join the Sanhedrin. They always have a stelle somewhere in a Besmetrish, and they don't want to leave Bovel to come to Yerushalayim. Sanhedrin starts to fade. Nobody knows exactly based on what exactly, but it's starting to fade, and therefore we need a calendar that will last for 1,000 years, maybe 2,000 years. We need a calendar, and because we can't do it anymore, how we're doing it so far. How can you build me a calendar? So I can imagine this is a role play. Yeah.
In time Sanhedrin, did it exist Rosh Chodesh 2 days, or that's like a modern bit because of the calendar?
The Rosh Chodesh 2 days in the time of the Sanhedrin could also exist, yeah, because they didn't know if it was 29 or 30.
No, but Rosh Chodesh was when he saw the moon.
Yeah, but if they didn't see, it was cloudy, so we didn't know, and then we didn't know if some alien would come, so we kept the first day of Chodesh.
Well, that's a commodity. That's
that's
event. It's not a mathematical entity.
No. There's no mathematics. It was pure out of Sophic. We kept it really as a Sophic, but not as a rule. No, there is times when. I'm not going to go. There is some times when even Rosh Hashanah was kept 2 days. Okay,
we're talking like 2,000 years ago.
No, 1,500 years ago. So it's not so. It's actually
5th century.
At the end of the Gemara, not even the Gemara. You won't find this. What I'm going to explain you, because it was built. It was starting to build at the end of the Gemara, and it probably ended up in the time of the Goyim. So we don't know exactly how this calendar evolved. Mm-hmm. But it's clear that it started from what we call today the 5th century, and which is the end of the Gemara. Abai and Rova were still living in a time where the Sanhedrin we did It was after Abai and Rova. We don't know exactly when, but it started a little bit later, and it really became a calendar on the time of the Goyim. And so what I'm going to show you is I'm going to make a role play as if it was Hillel II, knowing that it's probably not Hillel II that did everything I'm going to do today. Hillel II put the foundation, and then afterwards other people started to add on more conditions. So Hillel was asked to do the calendar, but Hillel said to the Nossi, you can sit here. There are 2 places here. You prefer a bit further, yeah. So Hillel said to the Nossi, but I am not an astronomist. I am nothing. I don't know how it works. So he said, well, it's very good. Better like that. I'm making it up, right? I'm just to put the scene. Better like that you're not an astronomist and you don't know all these things, because we know very good that whatever we know, what we thought we knew 1,000 years ago is not true now. And what is now true, we will know that in 1,000 years will not be true. If you're going to build something based on these common beliefs, then in 1,000 years they will tell us that it's wrong, and our calendar will be completely ridiculous. And so I don't want you to build a calendar based on knowledge. I want you to build a calendar based on common sense. Okay, common sense, that's what I want you to do. And you cannot use there were no watches, so there were no exact watches, so they didn't have that. They didn't know to calculate on the second. They hardly knew how to calculate an hour. I mean, an hour was, maybe they used the stick over the sun.
Sundial.
But even that, it's like...
Sundials are known to be very accurate.
What?
They're known to be very accurate.
Yeah, they can be accurate, but what do you do in the night? What are you doing when it's a cloudy day? And, it's really difficult. There's no really a very strong accuracy in any case. So how do you make a calendar already at that time that is accurate? So that's accurate even today. And this is what I'll try to explain. Okay, so my Now, this is what I want to go. So basically, he gave him a condition. Let's make the first cycle when he said we're going to do an agile method. I don't know, you know the agile method, the Scrum,
Yes.
how it works. So there are, how do you call it? Cycles? No. Runs. The first run number one, there is only one condition I'm going to give you. I'm going to say Rosh Hashanah must fall around new moon. Okay?
You also had these rules of like Adu Rosh.
Yeah. That's comes later. That's why I'm going to do it in an agile way. And that's just adding on new complicated. What?
Sprints.
Sprints. That's right. Sprints. Yeah. It's fantastic. I just bought this paper, and now I'm going to use it at home. You can. It's brilliant. No, seriously, you can move it.
Your wife might kick you out. But
No.
You can try.
When I want to teach something to my daughter, or you want to do a project, you want to discuss something, you can just stick it on, even against the window, it sticks. And you see it's erased. So it's the first sprint. The first sprint is Rosh Hashanah must fall around new moon. That's the only condition I'm asking you. Build me a calendar where you know that in 1,000 years, Rosh Hashanah will always be in the new moon. How do you do that? That's a challenge. So normally we come together and we debate. Yeah. So I'm going to gain some time, and we'll do it together. So how do I do that? Now we do know, and that everybody knows, you don't have to be an astronomist, that the moon is about sometimes 29 days, sometimes the month is 30, sometimes afterwards it's 30, 29, 30. So we know that there is kind of a fluctuation of when the new moon appears. And this fluctuation is known already since the beginning of the creation. We don't have to go very far. And so they knew that it was about 29 and a half. Okay, so there is 29 and a half. So theoretically, what I can do is I can say, we'll do a calendar. We'll take today will be the new moon. Let's say today is a new moon. And then we'll say 12 times 29 and a half. We calculate 12 times. And then we say this is the Rosh Hashanah plus one, Rosh Hashanah of the year of the next year. And then we say the same thing again, 12 times 29 and a half. Yeah, that's an easy way, correct? So I just have to say 12 times Rosh Hashanah. That's the only condition I need to be correct. And then I know that Rosh Hashanah will fall on the new moon.
For the first few years.
Oh, what happens after 1,000 years? If this number is not accurate, then you're stuck. Because after a few thousand years, if Mashiach will not come after 1,500 years, we're going to be stuck. So what do we do? So we have to find a more accurate number for this 29 and a half. How do we get to this accuracy? How do you get to this number? So it's actually very simple. This accuracy you receive, 1 second, I'm going to erase. Somebody has a clean tissue?
Yeah.
There is there, yeah. How do you get to this accuracy that it should be more accurate? What is this number? This number is you can go, and Hillel II sent somebody, go look in the archives of the Sanhedrin, and I'm sure you'll find from the last 400 years, all the months. We need to know each month and each year, the dates, how many days there were. So just try to find me, because the Bezin had to know that when the Shtar came in, he had to know if this month existed, if so many days were in this. So go and find me each and every month, how many. So we start with Tishri of minus 400 years, I don't know, 400 years ago, and then Cheshvan, and then Kislev. How many days there were in this month? Now, it doesn't matter, to be honest, if it was 29 because or 30 was because they didn't accept the Eidim, or because it was a cloudy day. It doesn't matter, because this will be seen in the next month anyway. So you will correct yourself. And so we have 30 and 29, etc. And then what we'll do is we'll take what we call the average. I hope that this everybody learned how to make an average. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the least I'm saying. That's the only thing. So the only thing you need to go is to take from a few hundred years from the archives of all the months that were registered in the archives. You take all those months and you sum them. You make the sum of all those months. You divide it by the number of months that we have counted by the end, and this gives you an average. And what you will see is that if you will add a few hundred of those months, this number will kind of start to, I don't know how, yeah, but it will start to stabilize. In the beginning, these numbers will start to move a lot. Yeah, you add another few 50 months, but at some point this number will stabilize. It will always be 2957. If you add more months, this number will remain the same and these will fluctuate. And then you add another few hundred months, then this number will stabilize. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, the average will start to stabilize. Yeah.
In the time that you have already digits and
Oh, that's the only thing which I don't know is how did they make divisions?
Villain was looking like
Stefan,
What?
2000 years ago.
1,500 years
you
ago.
have that?
Definitely had to do then.
No, no,
No?
because the Arabs only afterwards.
No, but
Oh,
of
that,
course not. But the Greeks had maths as well. But
Yeah, division, I don't know. They had a way to do it. They had a way to do it.
Yeah, and the Roman numbers.
They didn't have zeros, they didn't have commas. Today, every child can do that. Every child can do 29, it can take, every child can do 237,588 divided by, I don't know how much, 37.
I would be
Any
surprised.
child can do that.
Surprised that they didn't know how to divide.
Okay.
Maybe
so
it took a
let's
bit
assume-
longer, but
yeah,
it definitely
it would take longer, but they had the trick, I don't know how.
maybe it was fractions.
Yeah, they had to use fractions.
Yeah,
and
Chalocum, we have
that's-
Chalocum, we don't,
yeah.
we use the.
Yeah,
Chalocum,
yeah.
we have
It
Chalocum.
must,
Ah ouais,
but
mais ça veut dire que c'est il y a 2000 ans.
Oui,
C'est l'invention maintenant, relativement moderne.
But this is the only thing, that's what I'm saying, with the summation and the division, you can do it. And so you can find out to a very high accuracy. Now you have to understand this number here, this we're talking about is milliseconds, huh? We already maybe talking milliseconds. So it is on a millisecond that I can calculate the average month that is that where the moon is there, where there is a moon. The new moon will be. Okay. And the number that they came up with was 29 days, 12 hours, and 793 chalokim.
What's a chelek?
A chelek is
18 seconds.
1,080 chalokim in an hour. How much is it?
I think 18 seconds. I think.
18 seconds? Possible, I don't know.
Or 18 Chalocum.
Just a minute, what's 1 hour? Shows 1 year, so show what?
Oh, it's within that the hour is 24 hours a day. So it's divided like equal hours, like our hours. It is our hours. That's a very good question. All the hours that you will see is the current modern hour by chance. That's how it always was. Was they divided the day in 24 hours. The first one, if you say 7 o'clock in this calendar, it means the 7th hour of the night. So you take the 6 o'clock in the evening. That's when it starts the night. Till 6 o'clock in the morning, that's when the night ends. It's 12 hours. It's always from 6 hours to 6 hours. Yeah,
But
1080 Chalocum is 1 hour. 1 hour?
it's 1 hour. Yeah.
but just a question, I never heard about the gap when it says the Moelet Tzar, I never heard Achten Chalukim.
No. So they give how many minutes? So they recalculate. They do. I give a share already on this. They do a stupidity, which is really stupidity. I'm telling you, what can we do? But there is a stupidity which not today because we won't have the time.
Sorry.
But there is. It's
Oh, yeah,
unfortunate what they
18
do is
Chalocum
completely.
18 Chalocum is 1 minute. That's the thing.
Sorry,
18 Chalocum is 1
it's
minute.
1 minute. So 1 minute
18
is
is 1 minute. Yeah.
18 chalokim. So it's many more seconds.
So
It's
once
like,
they hit, that's why you never hear more than 18 because it's
Ah,
18,
yeah,
they say
and then
minutes,
it's,
and the remaining Chalocum.
Okay.
Why is stupidity to
I'm not gonna go. This is another. I gave a share already. I'm not now. Now I want to create the calendar.
But
and then
what
we'll,
is the stupidity?
what?
What's the stupidity?
The fact that because they even say Wednesday afternoon and they even and then because it's they subtracted 6 hours from that number. They subtract 6 hours because they think that it's closer to our current clock. And then they do it in the time of the Moila. People think that it is the real Moila. And then when it's Shim Shleimim to make a Kiddush Levuna, they use that number. And it's completely ridiculous. As we shall see, this is not a real number. This is an average. Okay? So it's not when the Moilat will be. It is if I make sure
It's average month.
Why,
it's an average month.
why shouldn't it be the model? That's how long it takes for the
No,
month to
because
renew
it
itself.
can be plus, it can be 7 hours and minus 7 hours. The real Moilat can be plus
Actually,
7 and minus 7, more or less. It can be, I don't know, it depends. Yeah. What?
So there was always an exact amount every month.
No, the real one not. So how does it work? So we have the average. So you understand how we come to an average which is so accurate.
Yeah.
That is even that even today we have a difficult. I mean today we can. But at the time we didn't have clocks. So people ask the question, how can they be on a chelek so accurate if they didn't have clock? No, they didn't need to have a clock. They only need to know how to divide. When you divide, you come to an accuracy which is very, very. You understand? It's a bit weird to understand, but it's. Now, what I explained is that if you look at the month have what we call, it's a random, nearly numbers. It's very hard, the cycle of the moon. It's very dependent on the position of the moon and the earth and the sun and this, and then it's like, it changes a lot, and it's very hard to calculate the exact, when it's going to be the exact, but it fluctuates a lot. What I've calculated is the average. But the average can be, the real one can be smaller, and the real one can be bigger. Understand?
By that measure, if you're very unlucky, you can have a place in a day where there's no new moon at all.
No, there will be no new move. Yeah, that's not a
It's a
problem.
whole day earlier
Yeah.
or later.
No, it will be a day later. It can be a day later, and we'll see that it cannot be a day before, but that's besides the point. As long as Rosh Hashanah falls around the new moon, I'm okay. What I don't want is Rosh Hashanah people come out on Rosh Hashanah night from shul, and then they look out and they see a ganze moon. Who see those? Dort does it go a Kessel, Yom Chagenu, a Kessel, the moon has to be covered, and the moon is a full moon. No, I don't want that to happen. I want the Rosh Hashanah to be around the new moon. So what do? I take a new moon, I take the first one, and then I continuously add always 12 times 29 and this. And this I will calculate on that day. I will calculate will be Rosh Hashanah. So I make sure that I add to this date 29 and 12 hours for each month. That everybody can do. Every child. I mean, it's complicated. It's long, but you can Excel. You can do it very easily. And therefore, you know when it's the next Rosh Hashanah, and you know that the next Rosh Hashanah, even in 1,000 years, will still fall on the new moon. So you can be guaranteed. The accuracy is so high that it's only 0.45 seconds wrong. You need, I think, 200,000 years to move one day. And even one day wouldn't be a problem. Because I don't need to be accurate.
Why not?
Because I don't need to be accurate. As long as it's not wrong, completely wrong. We need to have Rosh Hashanah that falls, because what is a new moon? For me, this is a new moon. No, I see a little bit. Anyway, when the Aiden came, they did not know how to define a new moon. Understand? So it's not a mamish, it doesn't have to be mamish on the new moon, as long as it is more or less in the area. It should not be a half a moon. It should not be. It should try to be a new moon, and that Sukkot should fall on a full moon. So it's not that relevant. Now, is this clear so far? Mm-hmm. Now the big challenge is, how do we start? Where do we put the first one? If I give an example, you can accurately measure the average pregnancy of a woman. Women can be pregnant for 9 months. We know, assuming that it's 9 months, 9 months, is the accuracy is 9 times 30 days. It's how much? 270. Imagine, I don't know how much it is in reality, but imagine it is 270 days with an error of maybe 1 day plus and minus 1. So it's really, really accurate. Do you know exactly when she's going to give birth? No, why? Because you need to know when to stop counting the 270 days. Some say you count, the doctors, what do the doctors say? They count from the first day of the period.
Yeah.
The first day of the period. And by us, what do we say? We say the night of the mikveh. And so already it's a difference of 12 days. You understand? Even if we both agree that it is 270 days, nobody argues about that. The only difference is, when do we start? When are we going to start the calculation in order to know when we are going to
You have 12 days off.
what?
Then it could be 270
Yeah,
or
it can be a
282.
very big
It's the
difference.
same amount, but it's a different number.
It's a different number completely. So it can be very wrong. So if you don't choose the first day right, you'll be continuously every year you'll be off. You'll be every year off the same number.
It's not in Rosh Hashanah, that's the.
Oh, you can start on Rosh Hashanah, on 1 year Rosh Hashanah when you see already that it's a new moon. But then people will have, they know already that we have a very bad memory. And then we're going to say, no, it was not in the year 3575, it was in the year 3576. And then there will be the Sfardim, they will say, no, it was in the year 3574. And then you'll have an argument. As we know, this is what will happen. So, what?
Wait, because you calculate over 1 year,
Yeah.
but is that so important? Why every 3 months, when the agent come and say, now it's a new moon, you recalculate every 3 months, every 4
No,
months?
this is you maybe missed it, but we already we after Hillel, we are Hillel now, and the Sanhedrin said we are going to close the doors in a few years. We're going to close the Sanhedrin. Can you, without the Aiden, can you create a calendar that is going to be forever and ever without any Aiden? We are now already ahead. Yeah, the Nossi asked us, and so what did Hillel the second do? So how do we make sure that all Klal always remember when is the first day? So he said very simple. There is one number that we all agree, which is not true, but let's assume that we all agree. What? Which?
All agree, not
It's typically a Jewish, but you'll understand what I mean. Which number do we all agree on?
Which number?
There is a number that all Klal Yisrael agrees, but if you look back further, you will see that it's a bit of also. There's one number that we all agree. Yeah? All Klal Yisrael. This is one number at least there. Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Teimanim, anybody, we all agree on that number. Okay? That's an easy number to remember because everybody knows it. So you know what? Let's go back and let's assume that we're going to go back to the year 0. We'll go back to the year 0. And then we're going to do in the year 0, we know that Odom Rishon was created on
25th of April.
on Friday.
Friday, Erev Rosh Hashanah.
On Friday, Erev Rosh Hashanah. Why Erev Rosh Hashanah? Because Rosh Hashanah cannot fall on a Friday, but this already is. Okay.
Isn't there a Machlokes if it's was Nissen or?
Yeah. So that's where it starts the discussion. So here we are assuming that it's on Tishri. So it's been mixing.
Why did you write 2 o'clock?
What?
Why did you write 2 o'clock?
It's a medrash that he was at 2 o'clock, at 14 o'clock. He was, and he saw at that time he saw the moilat. So the very first moilat was at 14 o'clock. Now the problem is that this is already Rosh Hashanah was the next day. It was on Shabbos, so we can't use that one. So what we do is we go
Why
-1.
Why don't we use that one?
Because the Rosh Hashanah was pushed off, and therefore they didn't want
Why
to.
was at 2 o'clock? So the first day of the month was that night.
No, because it was 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 14 o'clock. Sorry, it's not 2 o'clock. It was 14 hours,
Yeah.
which is equal to 8 a.m. I'm not. It's now it starts to get complicated. But if you have a 24 hours, so it starts at 6 p.m.
Oh,
and
okay.
6 a.m. And this is called, you start here from 0, and you come here to 12, and then you come.
Okay,
here
but
is
if you see
14.
if you see the
Sorry,
model,
it's AM and PM.
no,
Yeah.
if you see the model at 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
then the first day of the
Yeah,
month is that night,
but-
is the next
but
night.
in the work in calculation wise, because you have to, there is 1 year then you're missing. They decided to make a -1 and to calculate the moilad based on this. How would it have been 12 months earlier? So I'm going back -12 months. They just calculated. It's just a pure calculation. There's no medrash or halacha or Mishnah. And they came to the moilad of Tishri of the year -1. It's called the Baharad. It was on Monday.
Was Tohu Vavohu.
Yeah, that's why it's called. It's very good. Tohu Voyu, and therefore they called it moilad Tohu. Very good.
Where is it?
They called it moilad Tohu.
Is
What?
it the Gemara?
No,
Says
no,
it's
these
Torah
are the
or-
Goinim.
Oh,
The
right.
time of the Goinim. I told you the Gemara doesn't speak really about that. It's
Ah,
the Gemara was already by the end. The
This is
Gemara
all-
could have
this is
spoken
all-
about.
it's all in the going.
This is started really by the time of the Goin. Everything I'm going to say to you, I don't know if it was done by Hillel II, and certain things might have been added in later phases in the time of the Goinim. I don't know exactly what part, but in any case, the idea what I'm giving you now is probably done by Amoraim, Hillel, and then the Goinim, they tweaked it a little bit. Okay? So this is called the Moilad Tohu. It's Monday, 5 o'clock, and 204 halakim. And so this number, if you take 5,785, you go minus, you calculate, you put in your Excel sheet, you will come, if you start with the Baharat as -1, and you add on, you want to put this year, I don't know how exactly it works. When I was a bocher, I did it and it worked. Then you find exactly the moilad that the Gabba is saying. Okay, so you at least you have a reference point, which I say is this, and this you have to know by heart. This you have to know by heart. Okay,
So
or
it
at
is, you
least
know,
this you can know by heart, and you know also this by heart. I mean, but
So we understand how Hillel calculated it. Actually, that he started with a reference point for
Yeah.
this one.
yeah, we assume that Hillel did it, or maybe it was later done by the Goin. Yeah, let's assume Hillel. Yeah,
We do consider that Rosh Hashanah is when the earth, I mean, the universe goes back to its initial state. That's a postulate. But if you take when,
no, that's 28 hours. 20 days.
no, because if you take that it's Friday, if you go back to the year 0,
Yeah,
and when the world is created, and that's the first Rosh Hashanah, so it means this moment is when when it's created,
Yeah.
or when it starts. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. If you say the word, I mean, Rosh Hashanah is not. Rosh Hashanah should be exactly the same, when the universe is exactly at the same place.
no, but it could be that the moon, theoretically, you could say, if this is the sun,
Yeah.
this is the earth, it could be that the moon was here,
Yeah.
positioned in the beginning of the creation.
So how do
No,
you explain this?
But we're assuming here that the moon was perfectly here, and it started to go there. It was on Wednesday, it was here, and on Friday, it moved so that there is a little, you could see of the moon, this little Adam Rishon, when he was created, he saw the moon and he saw a moilad.
So 3 days later, after
2 days
the
later,
Earth,
yeah.
it moved.
2 days later.
And-
I don't know, that's how I'm assuming.
No, so we assume also that not like the Rambam of the
Yeah.
Rambam. It's really a human day.
Yeah, it's a human,
That's-
whenever the humans were seeing it, and not the exact mathematical, this is machlokas, yeah. this is machlokas, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but let's assume now to make it easier. I mean, then we can.
No, it's interesting. to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But the Bahab is clearly based on seems to be based on that because it's quite correct. It's not 100% correct. It's not correct in the sense that if you look today, if you would ask a goy when it is, there is probably a shift between hours. But like I said, it doesn't make a difference. It's always going to be the error that we have every year from the beginning till today, till another 1,000 years will be. And I say 1,000 years not because Moshiach will not come, but according to Rabbeinu Hananu.
Would it make a difference when Mashiach comes? When we go back to Sanhedrin?
Oh,
Exactly as we want?
So we assume that when Moshiach comes, we'll go back to the Alpir. Rabbeinu Hananu say that no, that we will. This calendar that I'm going to explain to you was Aloch Moshe Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu did it already, but it's an unbelievable, difficult shit. And-
That's what they say, that's you calculate it already, but
Yeah.
that's still accepted
And
to have to have Adam to but they said more they should send away people
Yeah,
or
but-
find Adam
But
to
there's
make it
a
work.
claim,
for
there are
themselves.
claim Mishnah is that the Rosh Hashanah can fall on a Friday. There are claim Mishnah is, and there's all kind of questions that cannot be. There's too many sources, and then Rabbi Hanan has to give. Yeah, it's only theoretically, and all kind of questions. It's clear that a period could fall any time, and that this was a solution that was, and we'll see later why also. Okay. So we have a starting point. So we know the starting point. So here is the second. 22, yeah. So here is the second, went back to the Scrum Master, went back to the business, to the Sanhedrin, and he said, I found a way. We can do it always for Rosh Hashanah, should always fall on the new moon, no problem. We start this number, everybody knows. I didn't need any calculate, I didn't need any specific tools. The only thing I needed to do was to look at how many months, all the months, remember, of the archives. I made an average. This average stabilized at this number. This number got stabilized, and it's a very accurate number. It's amazingly accurate. That, like I said to you, is 0.4 seconds from the real average. And I'm using that to calculate when it's going to be Rosh Hashanah. Okay. So it says Ram Gamliel, let's assume its name. So very good, but we have another problem. So now you know when Rosh Hashanah will fall. How will you divide the months? So he says, not a problem. Division of the months. What we'll do is, everybody's following so far?
One more lane, one quarter.
Sorry?
Probably one more lane, one quarter.
No problem.
You can play with it.
Exactly. We have post-its. We're gonna make post-its. Yeah. Will be one post-it will be 29, one will be 30, one will be, oops, it doesn't stick. I don't want to draw on the wall. One is 30 and then 29, 6 times 29, maybe two times 29 and 2 times 30. And when I know when Rosh Hashanah is here, and I know which day Rosh Hashanah is there, I can calculate how many days there are, and then I make a division of 12, and I put here 29, here 30, here 29, here 30, here 29, here 30, here 29, etc. Okay?
As Kisted and Davis have
Oh,
you play that
okay.
one,
For the moment, I don't have a problem. And so I do whatever I want, and I can do that. So the Rosh Chodesh here, it has to do something with the Moilad?
I don't know.
No, it's a random number. Rosh Chodesh here has to do with the Moilad? No. The only Rosh Chodesh that has to do with the Moilad is this one. And this one. They were calculated with the Moilad. Those were random numbers. They could have chosen to do 29, first 29, and then 30, the last 6 months. Could also be, it would be still the same distribution, would not change anything.
To have Rosh Chodesh,
Yeah.
and young anything does not actually be like you say it has to be around the new moon. Around,
Yeah.
shouldn't it be on the day of the new moon?
Well, Rosh Hashanah.
Sukkot,
But we
Rosh
cannot.
Chodesh in general.
We cannot because we have too many problems that we will see. We have too many problems that makes it impossible to make it that accurate. In any case, we couldn't make it accurate. As I explained you, how will you define when what? So my son Yehiel always said that there is a way to know the most accurate, even if you don't have a clock, it is when there is a clear eclipse. The moment of an eclipse is clearly, then you know 100% at that moment you see the moon covering, when it covers, that moment is the Moila, the mathematical Moila.
No, the full moon.
And
Yeah.
And then you take, let's say, I'm assuming that we know, I don't know how many degrees later is the new moon. But then you know you can have an accuracy, a very high. But they didn't want to choose that as the way to choose the reference. They prefer to choose which is less accurate based on a medrash and which has no scientific basis. They chose the 5,785. It's easy. You came to the Baharat with the Moilato. It works. Let's make it work. You understand? It's more of a pragmatism so that people should not forget. This number everybody remembers. If I would say it based on the year 623, there was a eclipse, and it was at this day and on that time and exactly that moment, people will forget that year and will discuss it was not, it was yes. This nobody discussed. Okay? And the matter that it was at 14 o'clock, nobody discussed. So why looking for complications that people will argue when we have numbers where people are not arguing? Okay? It's not a good answer, but it's a pragmatic answer.
The goal of this calendar is to have the same calendar for everybody over the world,
Yeah.
whatever condition.
Yeah.
You cannot take the condition as
No, and also the eclipse is also not everywhere in the world is going to be.
the south, you don't need
There is also, the more speaks about it. I think it speaks about the calculation of one of the things also with the moon or something. The moon has which calculation to use from Shmuel or
Yeah,
someone else?
Shmuel, that's something else.
No, but then it was the simplest one was used, so everyone can calculate it.
Yeah, and that's really a wrong one, which makes us
It's
now in
off
the,
with something, yeah.
we say Talmud to the every
Yeah,
time
same
we
thing,
are
yeah. Okay,
in
but
a few thousand years, 2 days we will say the same Talmud to the
okay, but the
Because
Gemara
there are
chose to
only
take
2
the simpler
days
one
because
so that everyone can.
the calendar moved in,
But the Gemara chose the simpler one so that everyone can be on. It has some basis.
yeah. So, okay, so he went back to the Nossi. Nossi said, brilliant, you found a very good way, but I'm going to add a new condition. The Pesach must fall first month of spring.
What's the definition of spring of Italy?
The definition of spring is obi, called
Yes.
when the soil are ripe. Okay. So when is it? So they understood there's a tkufa, and that's what he spoke about. The tkufa is the time they are not kadoshim, but tkufa is called. So they make a difference in wordings. And so how do we do that? So that's also an easy way to do it. You put the stick on the floor, and then you see that because the sun comes up. This is Mizrah. The sun comes up like that. In the summer, it's higher. In the winter, it's lower. So you can make what is the maximum shadow that it will create. And then at some point, this shadow will become smaller, and then it will be bigger. If you put a point here, yeah, you know when it's the maximum, then you know that it is spring, and when it is the minimum, you know that it's the winter. You can start making. I'm not going to go into the seasons. You can calculate very easily when the exact date that the season is starting. And so what they did is that's already much before the 5th century. The Greek already knew that the year is not 365, but 365 and 25. I mean, 4 days.
24.
20, yeah, a bit less. Yes. Yeah. So this is already a number that they knew. And so they could calculate again. I doubted that Hillel had to calculate that. He just used that number. And it was known in Bovel, Babylonian calendar. They already did that if you add 7 months of 30 days in a cycle of 19 years, you adjust, and then you are back to okay.
7 months are 30 and the other ones are 31.
No. The other ones are 29, 30, 29, 30. The one that we just made here. Yeah.
If 12 months, 7 are 30 and 5 are 29.
The other ones are what?
The Polish now better to go already
30 days. The one that is another condition.
You don't,
We don't know why. But in any case, that's how it works. So he says that the extra month must be 30 days. That's another condition. That Odor Sheni has to be Odor Sheni.
Babylonian does this by the extra month?
Yeah. 30 days. So that's already known. It was known already a long time ago. And then what Chazal and also the Babylonians did the same. So they said this, okay, in a cycle of 19 years, I'll do the 3rd year, the 6th year, the
Yeah.
8th year, the 11th, I think the 13th,
No,
and 17 and 19. I'm wrong here. Huh?
no, some of the street of it.
Yeah, 1 second. No, but
369.
you can find it 369, yeah.
And then-
369,
and then-
11,
Is that
14, 17, and 19.
somewhere 2 years one of the next?
Yeah, here 2 times has to be, yeah?
No. But
Yeah,
then,
2 times.
no, then 1 year exactly after the next one, no?
No, no, no.
Never?
Never, never, never. No. It cannot be 2 years, that's for sure. But anyway, that somehow they made a distribution. If you make that distribution, you come out that the 2 years are equal. Now, I'm not going to go into that calculation, but there is an error of 2.5 hours, I think. Or at least 2 hours, let's say,
On 19 years.
on 19 years. That makes
Yeah.
that our calendar today is 7 days off.
That's why if you
7 days we already off.
After 2,000 years, 1,500 years.
In the Gregorian, what, sorry?
After 1,000.
After 1,500 years,
that's why if you're lucky and you're born on your Jewish and non-Jewish birthday the same day, but after a certain while they shift
they shift.
through the day,
Yeah.
then it never falls on the same day again, or like
Yeah,
every
it
4
could be,
years.
yeah. It could be that you will have a certain shift.
In the year 2000 was the shift, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah, yeah. But the Goyim, what they did is
And
they
they
corrected
not
it.
that-
The Goyim had the same problem, and when they saw that it became a problem, they shifted when they went from the Julian calendar. We didn't shift. We stay with the same. So the error will be that the Pesach can fall after the first one. So for the moment, this year already, this, I think it's the 15th of April. 14th, something like that. I think the idea would be that Pesach will not fall after the 17th of April. But the last Shvisha Pesach will celebrate on the 18th or the 19th,
13th to the Thursday.
13th,
We should face up to the 20th.
20th. So Shvisha Pesach will be already after, but that's okay. First day has to be. But they see clearly, what you see is that that's moving up. Yeah, the Pesach is always random, but if you look very clearly, you can see that moving up, and we are ready by 7. Okay, it's drama, better to shift away and shifting backwards towards the winter. The winter we don't want because that's the Ovid. The Ovid defined as 3 months, so we still have still time. You know, the error will be okay.
How do you have an error from 2 hours if we're talking about days? When
2 hours every 19, every
we're talking about
19.
days, how do you have error from hours? We're talking about the days that we're playing around with, not.
Yeah. But when you correct, you do this.
Mhm.
When you are calculating this, the number of time that passed here, if you would do it with the NASA, they would make the number when the year, the solar year, there would be a different hour.
But we're talking about playing with days.
Days, but then
How do you
days is
have
24 hours.
Exactly.
Always
How do you
24
have-
hours.
how do you have error with hours?
Because it's a combination of many days together. I understand because the year is not 365 days.
Ah, so that.
Yeah, the year is already not.
Uh,
It's covered, it's the comma after the year. Okay,
Just a question, what is the film word? Did he add
No.
anything?
I don't know about the
They all say was a genius astrologist.
No.
Yes.
I don't.
Bogey Avon did. We have the son of Bogey Avon, Shaka.
No, but that's something else. That's about the day, how the beginning of the day, and the end of the day, not about the calendar. The calendar, nobody makes the calendar. Is it clear? Okay. So we have how do you call it? A way of making sure, and that we can do. That's an easy way. We don't need a lot of tools, and Pesach will fall on the first month of the So we have already a fantastic calendar. We don't need, we can do it. But then it goes back to, the Colombo now Colombo, the Colombo. So by the door, hit the follow, yeah. By the door, just 1 minute, you know, he went to the door and then like, I've got another question for you. And it was the question in question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went to the Rabbi Gamliel and he said, I found you a perfect calendar. It works like a Swiss clock. It's going to be accurate. Quite accurate for 1,000 years. They say about 1 second. There is what we call Loi Adu Roish.
But who made it up? This other words.
So we have it already in the Gemara. The Rambam has unbelievable, he writes down that it is a purely astronomical reason. In order to, so he was saying like that, if you take 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's Wednesday. So he says Wednesday not, but Thursday yes. Friday not, but Shabbos yes. Yeah. Sunday not, but Monday yes, and then this. Okay, that's how the Rambam is. Literally in the other Chazok, and then the Ravid says, I don't understand. The Gemara says where the Rosh that Yom Kippur should not fall on Friday and on Sunday, and Rosh Hashanah should not fall on Shabbos. The Rambam doesn't give this as the reason of Riyad Rosh. So it's a pellet. The Ravid writes a long letter against him. But anyway, so this is the condition. Rosh Hashanah cannot fall on a Sunday, on a Wednesday, and on a Friday. Okay, no problem. Says Hillel. What we'll do is when it falls on this day, when it falls on a Sunday, the moilad that I calculate from 5,785 and I make an attempt to that day is on a Sunday, I will push off and I'll make it on a Monday. Yeah, not a problem. It was. If it falls on a Sunday, the moilad of that year, the next year falls on a Sunday, I put it up on a Monday.
I would have been happier.
Yeah. That I can fall on the Shabbos. So I fall on a Monday. But 1 second, that means that the year has extra days. No problem. So I'll make an extra, I'll put an extra thought for 30 days. So I can use the next day, and I will make sure that 29, 30, 29, 30, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. So I'll make sure that it fills up the year. Okay? So that was an easy one. Yeah? Then comes, he goes out, and then Rabbi Gamliel says, before you leave.
If we go to the next step, you're going to the next will be a day late.
Yeah, but that's why you have a joker.
Yeah, but okay, but at the end of
But they make calculations.
the day, will be a day late, and you're going to keep on going like the next 1,000 years.
No, it doesn't have to be. No, it's independent. This is the next year, always according to the Moilad. So it readjusted. If you make a mistake here somewhere, imagine if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Because we will always recalculate, everyone should try to calculate the date of Moilad. So if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Then he said something which they all argue about, is if the Moilad is after 18 o'clock, 18 hours, more than 18 hours, push off Rosh Hashanah. That's called the Moilad Zokei. And there is a lot of debate in academic world. Why? We don't know. There's no forum that wrote about that. It just accepted that the Moilad Zokei was if the Moilad after 18 o'clock, then you push off Rosh Hashanah an extra day. There are some of the academics that want to say so that Rosh Hashanah should never fall before the Moilad. Yeah. So here is Moilad. This is the Rosh Hashanah, and here was the Moilad. But that any Rosh Chodesh should fall before the Moilad. You will notice that when the Gabbat says the Moilad is always either on the day or the day before, but never that Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Chodesh is the day before the Moilad.
And how do you gain that doing it only
So these are
18 hours?
Hocus pocus, somebody did with mathematics. He found out that this is, it doesn't actually doesn't have to be 18, it can be 18 hours and I don't know, 687 halokim. Yeah, but they chose to cut this away. It's enough. You understand? 18 hours and we pushed off.
But why 30? Even if 20 hours and 2 minutes, under the before the next day, the restaurant never going to be on the before the murder.
No. When you do that rule, you will see that all the points that are here will always fall after the moila.
We're talking about those spoilers.
So all the Rosh Chodesh, that's what he said. Yeah, all the Rosh Chodesh. So that's one way. At the time of the Tzadikon, that's why we believe that Tzadikon is the one that introduced that. At the time of the Tzadikon, there was a certain Ben Meir in Israel who was still doing the calendar, and he said that we should do 18 hours and I don't remember anymore, 278 halakim. I don't remember the number. And the Tzadikon went fire. This is how they claim that Tzadikon became famous and became a Gaon. It was not a Gaon. It became a Gaon after the fight against Ben Meir in Yerushalayim. And he went against Bovel and he fought against Yerushalayim. And the mayor had to do this. There was for 2 years because by chance it came out. By chance, it never happened. It happened 380 years like that. By chance, it happened twice within his lifetime. And there is a theory that during those 2 years, in a world that had a different outcome than in Bovel. Okay, so there was a whole they found back documents in Cairo, Benin, that documents the left between Tzadikon and Ben Meir. But the Tzadikon, that's why they claim that the Tzadikon said that this is Halacha Moshe Sinai as a way to impose his one. And today, everybody thinks that Halacha Moshe Sinai. You know what I'm saying? That was more of an expression of belief that we have to do 18 because that's how it was done in the previous generation. We can't change that. He wanted to change it in order to make less to have less here.
And they were so lucky that the murder was after 18 hours and 18 hours and 3 hours something.
Who?
In that time.
No, that it was like a,
was
yeah,
between
yeah.
those
That
two.
between this, that it was
18 hours and 18 hours and 3 hours.
So he wanted to say we don't have to make it here. In Yerushalayim they didn't make it here, and in Bovel they made it. 2 times happened in his life. Nobody knows who won. I mean, we know who won because anyway, it happened only 180 years later, and we stayed with the Bovel one from Tzadikon. So we are still with 18 hours. Yeah. From the Rambam, it's very difficult because it's only in a sort of the allowed to calendar. And then Meir was from Yerushalayim, and so therefore it's difficult to understand why did he win. Okay, why did Tzadikon win? But at the end of the day, our calendar is 8 hours. There is a Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish, and I'm just going to tell you the Chazon Ish has another explanation. He explains that if it is more than 18 hours, that would mean that Rosh Hashanah would start before the Moila. He says that if it's less than 18 hours, there is a place in the world, where Rosh Hashanah will start after the Moila. So because of the date line, and he proves that date line, he wants to prove that China is the date line. I'm not going to go through the different things, but the Chazon Ish explains that this here is the proof that China is the date line, and that the idea of the Moila Zoken is that there should be a place in the world where Rosh Hashanah will start after the Moila. It shouldn't be a place in the world, he says, if a place in the world the Rosh Hashanah started before the Moila, it's a weird Rosh Hashanah starts after the Moila. And so therefore, he says that he explains why the Moila. What? He has all safer. There's all safe. I can send it to you. Yeah. Not going to go into that, but that's published.
It's not only a big place.
Yeah. He wants to use that as one of the arguments to prove the date line on the 8th top on the line. Yeah, with China. Yeah. If this is the line, if this is the line, China. Okay, that's a condition, a big debate called the Moeller blocking. You will find on the internet a lot written on that, beautiful theories around that. Okay. Now, again, Hillel went to Rabbi Gamliel. Gamliel said, very good, but before you leave, I've got another condition. And that the year cannot be different than it has to be 355 or 383, 384 or 385. No, but that's the condition. We do not want different years. We don't mind to have a lot of variation because we have to vary, but try to avoid having more than 6 different lengths of the year. Okay?
So this year, so you have yeah. This one that we first. Well, that's what the year to have the process.
Yeah. This is about the move better. So 30 up, 30, and this is 30, I'm sorry, yeah. And this is the son of two. Yeah. But this not don't want this. Oh, that makes it complicated. Why is it complicated? Because that means that sometimes when I want to do, imagine that what the son of falls, I'm going to be Tuesday at 20 o'clock.
The models.
20 o'clock. The Moeller. So what we do?
Make up to know when.
Wednesday. But you cannot do it on Wednesday. So what you do? Thursday. So there is a 2 days split. That makes it complicated to maintain more than 305 the previous year. You understand? It makes it complicated.
Then you can have a time with the years to come, but then you do 353 for 2 years, and then you.
Oh, so yeah, but it becomes complicated. You have to be able to do that in the way. How do you find a formula that makes it always correct?
Yeah.
And so they added 2 more dechirs. And the 2 more dechirs are the Moeller falls on a Wednesday after this o'clock, and it is a Shona Pshuto, then you should push it up a day. Why? Because if we don't push up a day, and we know already now that the next Moeller will be in such a case, we will have to push up 2 days, and we won't have enough days. So you should already push up this in now, so that you make it shorter. What? Yeah. Yeah. This is called the extra 2 dechirs. This has caused 2 more dechirs. You want the name? So I have a book here. I saw it mentioned a lot about early the first edition 1920, but 31. It's on a certain Feldman, and he made rabbinical mathematics and here he described a lot of the mathematics, also the circle and the everything, also the calendar, and he said that the Gechir Gatrat, you don't have to know this, but just to, yeah, Gatrat is the Gechir Gatrat is for when you have a problem of 366 days, when you that how to remove the 356. Then you do the Gechir Gatrat of the previous day, so it becomes 355. Yeah, always Rosh Hashanah. The rest we just fill up. We always the only thing we need to know is when Rosh Hashanah falls. The rest we have posted and we 29, 30, 29, 30, etc. And if we have an issue, we add more cheshbon and instead like that, we add on to that we have it. But these are and then the next one is another name. It's called the here Betutakta. Okay, but anyway, I'm not going to write it down. But it's another here to enable for the 382. Sometimes it can be that it is 382, 2
But
to
it's Rosh Hashanah. What-
Yeah, yeah.
what-
So this is the Gimel is Tuesday. The Moila falls on Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock and 209 Halukim. More than that,
Yeah.
then you push off the date. That's what it is here. If the Moila is calculated,
Why not falls on
he calculated that. It's
no, but
correct.
I do what if it's Thursday after you also have the same problem.
No, because then
It
you
can't be Friday, just be Shabbos again today.
no, we have enough candidates now. It's only 2 cases that it can
What's
fall.
different if it falls on Tuesday late afternoon or
No.
or Thursday late
Because it
afternoon?
calculates how it will be in the next year. He
Ah.
already takes into consideration next year as well. He did, and he saw that it's never going to be a problem. Okay? So there we have, so these are the 2 things. So what you have to know, so we have calculated, when did I once mention something about astronomy or nothing? I just gave you a easy way to calculate. The only thing that you need to do, the only thing that you need to do is to know how the different amounts are, and you need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 conditions. When you have those conditions, to calculate, you can do it yourself. That's how our calendar works. And it's quite accurate. I told you it shifts a little bit. It's a little bit in the Pesach, but 7 days is still Rachman
What's the obvious 21 April now?
and first March.
No.
On 21st March.
Yeah, 21st of April.
That's the first month of the year.
It has to be in that.
What?
It has to be in that month.
It should, that's not clear. I would never have said, I would say that it has to be at least on the 21st March plus 3 months. Now, this would be, I would give him 3 months, but some give him only 1 month. So Chodesh obvious. Chodesh means a month.
Month past 21st of April.
No, and we are already close. That's what they claim. So there he has a suggestion to adopt it, but I'm sure that
So,
the Eidah Chaydes will not accept his proposal.
but if Hillel Azok made the calendar open calculation that Moshe will come back. Yes.
Don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But it's gonna work. It's gonna work. And even if it falls out.
You know, la possibilità da fare.
No, on n'est pas, we won't be so much. There is a chance that
In 150 years from now?
only 150 years it won't be, it's gonna last longer.
Even the Pesach part?
Yeah. It's exceptionally late, huh? This year, because that's two Shlomo Beres. Exceptionally late.
Never be.
It will always push. Even 1 day, 2 days.
Every 19 years you have to power there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's never gonna, it's gonna take a long time to.
Not problem.
Okay?
That means every 228 years, every 200 years you lose 1 day. Okay.
Now, so in short, what we did is, we said that what calendar is based on when Rosh Hashanah should fall. Rosh Hashanah should always fall in the new moon. How do I do that? I know that 29 days, 12 hours, 793 Halukim. This number was calculated by taking the averages. That's my theory. We go 930, we just put the average. You don't need to be a high mathematician to make the sum of this divided by n. This number gives you that. And it's going to stabilize this number. It might be even more accurate. Yeah, you can add accurate. Okay, we know today that it's 0.4 seconds per month. It really will take 200,000 years to move a day. So we know when I know when is the beginning of the month, and I know 1,000 years later when it's going to be the beginning of the month, I just adding always this number. Then I know for sure. And then I can calculate the Rosh Hashanah. When I know when Rosh Hashanah is, I have 29, 30, 29, 30, and I have it. Where we have created the problem is because we want Pesach to be on the COVID, so we add an extra month Yeah, we have to add an extra month here somewhere. And that adding of an extra month, it's always third. We do it 7 times in 9 years. We said this accuracy is not so high. It's already 7 days that we are in a mistake, but it's so far it's been under control. Then we said that we have to push our Rosh Hashanah an extra day if it falls on Adu, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. We also said that if the Moilad falls on an 18 o'clock, after 18 o'clock, it's sort of Sadigo and position was, then we push off another day. It can happen that we push off 2 days. So possibility that we push off 2 days, and therefore it creates problems with this new condition. That's a condition that we cannot understand that this is called a field. Yeah, that's how we know also when past years. If he knows this by heart. He knows by heart. When is the first day of Rosh Hashanah? Based on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, he knows if the Yom Torah will be together or not. And there is a tabel like that.
There's also code for it. Like,
Yeah, there are
like
codes.
three
The
four
dark
letters,
and
but technically
the
you
dark
only have a certain amount of possible years of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
20 years, in different
Yeah.
years. The code for
there
every
are
year,
14. There are 14.
14
Based
and-
on this, there are 14.
and you can
different
know
types.
exactly how every year
Yeah.
gets a repetition.
Yeah.
So,
Probably that's why they did they tried to reduce that. But I think that we push sometimes off Rosh Hashanah a day. Okay, because the next year will recorrect.
no, the code is
there's-
after the murder.
I'm just curious, there's never even a machlokes between whatever,
No.
Yerushalayim, New York, London, I don't know what.
Today there is
Always the
no
same,
machlok.
same parsha, same calendar, same.
On Israel, the
No.
base of different.
No.
It's a technical.
The only thing I wanted to explain you, when we are saying the Moilad, we calculate the Moilad and you come out on this is 1 second, on the month. Tuesday,
Not everywhere the same.
it's clock. It's not something that you can go outside and see something. Nothing's gonna happen. And it's a mathematical number based on an average. You know what I'm saying? It's very important to remember.
And the moilik is everywhere the same? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
uh,
we don't-
No.
The Baal Tefillah, we said the moilik is the same in
No.
line as.
Yeah, of course.
No, the code is the sign is different. because-
No, they say the same number.
No, but what it is different.
No.
No,
One number
factually,
is random.
I'm standing in New York, I'm standing in Russia,
Yeah.
the mode will be at the time.
No.
Won't be?
No, yeah, it
No.
will be factual, yes.
Yeah,
but
factually,
I'm
no,
saying-
I'm asking.
But when
I'm
the
asking.
government says it doesn't,
No, I know, but factually
it's a
different.
number. And what did they do when they take the boil out? So it's like, let's say it's Tuesday, 17 hours. So what they do is they do minus 6 hours. They say minus 6 because they want to say that 6 o'clock is 13 hours means it's 5 hours within the morning already, yeah?
11 o'clock in the morning.
So they want to say it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So Elvazai in the free. It is a ridiculous thing because number is not a real number. It's an average. It's based on an average just to know in which day. I need to know which day it falls. The number has nothing to do with the Moilad, that hour. It's just then after when it passes 24, it becomes
The Moilad is fluctuation of 7 hours plus minus.
yeah. It can fluctuate 7 hours. This number has nothing to do with the clock. Because otherwise, if it's 11 o'clock, what happens with the winter clock and the summer clock? It will change.
11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but what happens with the winter clock and the summer clock?
They're all modern.
What?
Which
That's
clock
right,
is
yeah.
the new invention?
That's right. How do they do it?
What do you mean? You just set 7 hours before.
Yeah, but if you got the change, the other
He
doesn't change.
looks what it says in the Bilga calendar.
This number is completely ridiculous. There's no basis for that. It's not like in the free Elvazai great people are confused people. It's like as if you're saying that there is something going on at that time.
Right.
Non, ouais, moi je le dis, mais il voulait pas discuter là. Il veut pas discuter. En fait, je n'ai pas vraiment une longue discussion avec lui. C'est pas que je dis que le Moilad, je dis que quoi, le Moilad, il en fait mes adresses. Le Moilad est un concept mathématique qui a été conçu pour connaître quand le Rosh Hashanah sera. C'est un numéro qui est aléatoire, pas aléatoire, mais n'a rien à faire avec la réalité. Et il comprend pas ça. Et même in our calendar in Matikada, the Shiva, the time Shleimin, for those who don't, we made already, but those who don't, it's even at, I don't know, 753. How did they calculate that? Took the Moilat and they added 27. I don't know, they say till 8 o'clock. Before you can find in the.
But it still doesn't add up because it's 7 hours, you don't get to it.
Nothing, we
You
don't
have
know.
7 days and 7 hours to be sure.
We don't know nothing. It's not a number, it's reality. It's
But the
before.
Dinosaur Netherlands, they knew exactly when the murder would be. It was 8 and also not.
So when you say 7 hours, only if you know exactly now, correct? And then you add 29. But starting from 5,875 years ago, based on the, so it could be that we are off. You understand what I'm saying? We are assuming that this is exact. But it could be that if you go, then we are a little bit off. You understand? We don't know the starting point. Or, like I said, it can be very accurate number of days of pregnancy. If you start, one starts from the mikveh and the other one starts from the first day of this, then you're off. That also makes it. How do we know that our Moila Torah is correct? Or it's more than 7 hours, it could be maybe 2 days. Great. I can't even tell you how much. I know I've seen in a magazine one somebody who made this calculation. I can't remember, but it's definitely it's not the accurate, the NASA accurate number. NASA and this is ours.
But even today, what's happening, extremely close to not that calculation.
This one,
Yeah,
This
extremely close.
that's what I'm saying, it's 0.4 seconds close. Yeah, and by the way, it's moved anyway. We cannot know for sure. There is, we only assume that it's stabilized, but it moves. There are four. Meteorite pass by its influence.
Even the sun and the moon.
Earthquake on this world. What?
Even the sun, moon, and earth.
No, but then they managed to simulate that, but there's nothing they cannot simulate it. Earthquake, the world, the meteorite, a passage of a planet, and or impact. It slow down the movement. So this number, I think, is be reviewed every year. Okay. It's time for Mashiach to come. There is a Brussels. There was a Jew. I forgot his name, and he wrote a book on that. He also has suggestion how to correct the calendar, but I'm afraid that we will not. I don't think we will see in our life a correction of the calendar. I don't think that it is really necessary. I think that the errors is still under control. It's such a this calendar. When it comes to the second auto, there I think with urgency we need
Every 19 years, over there.
we need to no every 19 years, but we need to there is a correct letter. But that's the Cooper, that's already nothing to do with the calendar. Okay? A result of the goal of the mayor of your main. Was this clear?
Very.
Do you know now how it?
Is there anything important in the beginning?
Not really?
We have the menu.
Yeah. No, seriously, because I went too much in detail.
I was very careful.
You have a discussion. I've heard one certain guy Grossman, the specialist.
No, he knows. I think it's he has a paper where you the mathematics, they'll tell you where to stand at what time to know if you make
But
that's exactly where the
Yeah.
cocktail.
So you have two things. You have astronomy and then you have astrology. So you have people like there's a certain not the proper name there's somebody is expert in astrology, and then you have people who are very good in astronomy. But this is I haven't spoken further about astronomy. And what I'm saying now is the religious
This is purely,
Putting regression line.
it's purely religion.
Taking data and putting regression
Yeah,
lines.
exactly. There's just, there's no astronomy involved. I did not speak about the position, degrees of the moon. I just gave numbers and I made up a calendar that worked for a few thousand years. And now people who are specialists in this and in this.
Holy Marie.
Yeah.
It's in Israel.
Yeah, it's a
Neighbor.
specialist.
Yeah, the neighbor.
There's nothing to do with this. It's purely astrology, the planets and.
No. What? Oh, today, you never let us talk about.